Hello guys. So in this video we will learn to implement a push notification feature using service worker. And actually we are using Django for this. I didn't found any good video on how to implement any push notification when someone is using Django as its backend. It doesn't much rely on a backend feature. It's majorly about the service worker file, but I want to make the video, so I am doing this. And plus, we are using ERP for testing this feature out. Like here we have students, staff, and an admin. So simply, an admin will send notification to a student, to a particular student, or to an particular staff person, and he will be get notified as a push notification at its end. So we will see it how we can do it. Here I will also tell you the flow, how push notification works, how service worker works, how this flow is implemented using code also. So let's start. Okay, so starting out with what is a service worker, you can also Google it. But what something I can tell you that a service worker is used for implementing some background tasks. So we have to perform these all tasks asynchronously. And the second thing, it do not runs on the main thread. It runs on the separate thread. So there is a no dependency on the main thread, and that's why we are using service worker for push notification, because push notification itself is a background task. For example, if you are not on the application window, but the application is running in background, okay, and there is some server action that takes place, and you get a notification. But how you will get a instant notification on any other window? So for that, you will use this web push notifications. So you can simply can see that notification outside of the window. Just you need to have your browser or your application browser and application running in the background. That's all, and you will be notified using these push notifications. So this is something which our service workers for. Let's see the flow of the push notifications. Basically, we are implementing a web push notification. I am clear. Okay, so this is like our client, the browser. Okay, this is a browser which serves as a client. Now, what happened? We will generate a public-private key pair. It's like a rapid key, and we can simply generate it using here. I should say rapid key gen. So you will get rapid key. Okay, so we will simply see rapid key generator. So here you can just simply enter your email. The email is not of any like usage in the push notification. We will just simply use it for creating these web IDs, and we have to send it in like don't have very much use. Just we need to follow the structure. That's why we are using this mail. And simply you will write mail and then click generate. You will get in this way public key, private key. So the one thing which we will be doing is creating public private key pair. Now what happened? When we get these are public private key pair, one private key is stored in the server. Like see, here we will store the key in the server at the server side. I will show you everything which I am discussing in this flow in code also. So just be with me. So here we are creating public private key pair, store the private key at the server, public key is still at the client end. Okay. Now what we will do? We will write a file, a script file, which will say which will say like ask permissions if the notification allow. You have seen many times that a pop-up comes that we need permission to allow for notification. So we say allow or deny. So allow or deny. So we have to implement the same thing because it's the notification thing. So we have to ask for permission from the client side. So we will simply write a function which will ask for the permission, like if you allow for the notification or not. The first thing. Okay, when a notification permission is granted, what will happen? Now the service worker come into role. In the service worker, first the thing is when I get permission, it gets registered. Okay, then after registration, when after it's getting registered, it triggers an activate event, and the page will listen for that activated event. Now why when the service worker gets activated, then it's called a subscription method. Simple, it's called a subscription method. And what subscription method does, it takes two keys. One is sorry, it takes two parameters: user visible only and application key. Now after it taking this application key is that public key only which we have created at the client side. Okay, and the user visible only is that there will not be any silent push notification. If there is any message coming at the client side, it would be shown as a push notification. Okay, so that's an just an like an agreement, like we have to, it's a boolean value, we have to simply put it true. And this application key, it's a public key which we have created at the client side in the public private key pair. Okay, now, when this function is run, what we are doing, we are subscribing the client to this push API. This subscription method, what the task this subscription method is doing, it is subscribing the client to the push API so that it can receive the push notifications. Simple. So what it actually does, it actually subscribe the push API, but it also generates some information regarding that subscription. For an example, it also generated a key pair. It also generated a key which is this P255D. It's an also public key. You can see it also generate a public and private key pair, and it is like a auth, and which is, you can say, a secret key. So one we have an application like a server key, and and one is an public key. Okay, so these two keys plus an endpoint. Okay, this endpoint is about the push API, right? Like we will use this endpoint, these keys, for some reason when we send a notification. We will come to it. So, okay, the subscription function works. It subscribes to the push API. It's generate this information, the endpoint, the public key and the secret key, and the user. This user is when the user that subscribes to that push API. So we will take this user. We will also handle this in our logic. So this is the subscription info. What we will do with of this subscription info? We have subscribed to the push API. So what happens? This push API will send that subscription information to the database of the server, right? So what we will do, we will be making a one more model, or one may say a table, in which we will storing the subscription information, which will be used when we trigger that notification and send it back to the client. Okay, we will come to it. This listen. So we have given the permission. We have created the public private key pair. The permission is granted, so service work is registered and it's get activated. After activating, it calls in subscription function. Subscription functions takes two parameters: user visible only and an application key. That application is a public key which we have generated at the client side using rapid keys generator. Simple. And now we have subscribed to the push API. While we subscribe the push API, it also generated a subscription information we stored in the database of at the server side, in a table named subscription info. Okay, so now at server end, what we have database table one, subscription info, where we have all the subscribers information which have subscribed to this push API, to this push notification. Plus we have also a private key which we have generated from the client. Okay, so with these two things, we now what will happen? Now we will see a backend logic where we will trigger this notification. See, as I have said that we will be planning it in an ERP. So what we are doing, we are sending in notification. So some trigger will be there, right now I am doing it manually. Like I will simply select that user to which I will be sending the notification, and I will handle it with a button. So I will simple say send notification, and will try, write a message in it, and I will, when I click send notification button, it will fetch the subscription info of that user. Okay, subscription of which user, for which I have clicked the button, like the user for I am selected. And if he has subscribed to the push notification, I will surely have his or subscription info in my database in the subscription info table. So yeah, we I get the subscription info because I have allowed for that this user. Okay, so what we will do in that subscription, what we have that endpoint, that push API endpoint. Okay, we have the endpoint, we have that user, we have that private key stored at the server, and the public key also in the subscription. What we will do now, we will simply hit that URL. We will simply hit that endpoint URL with the header containing the private key, that private key which is stored at the server, which we have created much earlier. Okay, so this private key it will be sent to the header, and we will hit that URL. Plus, we will also send all the message and other things which we consider as a payload, which will be displayed to the user. Okay, so that's a payload, and a header contain private key plus also the subscription info that we have for that user. Simple. So as we have that endpoint, we will simply the calling that endpoint, calling that push API. Now push API simply will check that the public key in the subscription for, yeah, that is key that I have generated. So it verifies and send all the info to the next step to the payload and the other info like public key, the private key, message, everything to the service worker. Now again, service worker comes into it. What will such service worker do? It will listen to a push event. It will listen to a push event and will display the message push notification. Okay, I have it in very brief. So what push event takes, like push event is it will trigger a function whenever this event is listened by the service worker at the client side. Okay, as soon as the it listen this push event, it runs a function. In that function, it simply displays that push notification to the browser. But actually, everything we are providing or everything which is transmitting through this flow is encrypted, which we have done using these private keys. So how we will encrypt public and private key? So how we will decrypt this at the browser end? So as you remember, we have already public key at the client end. Okay. So as soon as we get a push notification, we have other things like the private key which we have stored at the server, and we have sent it in the header also. Okay, so it will also flow into here. So the public private key pair again gets paired up, and we can decrypt that information, and that's how push notifications is displayed to the client. That's how all the uh, push notification flow works. So all this works like then registration, activation, and then the subscription method, which takes these two parameters, and the generating subscription info and sending to the push API, and also when a push notification appears, a push API respond when a notification appears, then listening to that event, push event, and displaying it as a notification. This all work is done by a service worker. This all work. Let me highlight it in a oval shape, like just a second. This whole work is done in a service worker. So this is the main file which we have to code carefully. We need to take care of something, some cases. So we will be discussing further. So let's uh, switch to the code, and I will try to uh, I will try to help you like how to implement this whole flow in that code. Especially, I'm using Django, and you can see this is here only. Uh, backend specific thing is the table. So here in Django we will be using models. So to make that table plus that logic which we did, that's all. Then again we have to all this thing is in service worker, which is probably in the JavaScript. So let's do that. Okay, let's starting with the code thing. So let's say where is my so this is the simple script file which will check for the notification permission, that if the user allows for the notification or not. So this script file I have basically linked to the base template here. So here what I am doing, I am calling this main function on clicking a button. You will say like why you are using a button for just making the user self-subscribing to that. Right? So no one will click that notify button. I will show you that button. But basically, right now, I'm just trying here to just tell you how this thing works, and it is very simple. Like if you want to make it self-subscribe without knowing the uh, without making the user to click it, so you can do it in various ways. I will also post that video out. Next step doing next step is that thing only. Okay, so right now we are using a notify button which will make the user to subscribe or to make which will make the user to first register its service worker, gets its activity and subscribe to the push notification. Okay, so what it actually doing when I click that notification button, it gets clicked. Yeah, it is console logging clicked and the main function is there. Okay, this is the file I have in. So it will search that function in the scripts and here it will get that function. And the thing is like I am here first. What first thing I am doing is here check permission. So it's first checking for permission that if service worker is allowed in this client side at this client at this browser. Okay, if they yeah, and the second check is if the notification is allowed in this window, this device, this application. So that's are the basic checks. You can just do it. It is always true if your device and the application. Okay, it is made basically for the application. Okay, so the second thing is request notification permission. I have used away because that's why we have used asynchronously, because I have to first check for the notification permission, then I can just get for the registration. First the user have to grant the permission only na, then we can register that service worker and make it activated. So first we will check for the permission. So here we are checking for the permission, like here notification for request permission and the permission not granted, just for the error. And if it is, then simple, and to the next point, the next function register service worker. Here what we are doing, here we are doing using this function service worker dot register this file ssw.js. This is a service worker file which we have discussed here in the code. This file we are registering. So here we just simply register static ssw.js. This is our service worker file and simple. We will return a registration that I am not using this registration anywhere, but no problem. So simple this file working. I think you got it. We are just here requesting the permission. If the permission allowed, just register the service worker. Now we will move to the service worker file where we are first activating and then subscribing to the push API. Okay, so here this is the SSL file, that service worker file, right? The first thing is the self added event that is listener activate. What activate event it is listening. As when the service worker gets registered, it gets triggered, this activate event gets triggered, and now we will just simply call the subscription function. So here see, we are self.registering.push manager.subscribe, and what I have told, it will take two parameter user visible only for just like an agreement that like yes, there will be not no any sign notification, it will be displayed you as a push notification, so you are agree on that. And the application server keys, which is a public key. which we have generated. Okay. So we have simply converted this into an array buffer. This is needed because this subscribe function takes the application way as an array buffer. So we have to follow the structure. That's why we have used this function. We can just take it from internet, or you can also take it from here. So simple. We will be giving this function our public service key, or sorry, or our public key, and it will convert it into array buffer, and then we will just calling the subscribe function with the two parameters, the user vision application server key. Now what we are doing here, let's listen here carefully. So we are fetching one URL, like we are hitting the URL web push save information. What this is like, what you can relate with the save information. I think you got them right. If in your mind, like this is the subscription info which we have to save in our database, right? So we will just simple see the URL, what this URL is doing. And Django, you have your URLs in the urls.py. I have in this main app. Where is the web push save info? This URL. Okay, so it is doing views dot save web push subscription. Okay, let's move to the views file. This is the views. In views we all write all the logics in the functions. So what this is doing, it's if request dot method equal to post. Okay, and what we are doing there, okay, the method is equal to post, great, and the headers are application, and body JSON is string file subscription. Okay, great. So like we are hitting this URL and providing all these headers and parameters, and on that view, what we are doing, we are simply checking subscription data that we have sent. Okay, and we are user is equal to user keys. We are getting those keys if those keys are empty, which we have sent as an header that publicly. So it will simply created an object for the push subscription table. Now this push subscription table. Now here we are storing four things: the user, okay, the endpoint, okay, that public key which will be generated, and the auth. These are the four things. So simply we will be making this push subscription table. So let me go to the models files. Here you can see class push subscription model. Here we have endpoint, URL, text, string, auth, and user. This user I am taking as a foreign key for the custom user. This is the base user, Django users menu. So it's a base user which is taking which is inheriting the other roles like student, staff. See, this is student, this is staff. It have a one-to-one relation with the custom user, correct? So I am using directly the parent table because I don't want to make the different tables for student push subscription table and staff push subscription info table. I don't do that. So directly take that base table custom user. They are linked to one, so no problem in design. So okay, so simple. I am storing all the info here, correct? Hope you are getting it. Coming back to SSD file. So here we will getting a response. I simply return that JSON response as a JSON, and also logging out that subscription and the response also. The response is simply the status success I am using, and I will show you that subscription that is there, where we have our push manager API URL, and also our public key and the user, everything which we have made him to subscribe. Okay, okay, correct. So we have figured out all these functions, this function also. Let's do a little bit demo for these functions. Like we are clicking a button, and then the service worker gets registered and activated, and then it gets a subscription info is generated and saved into a database. So let me show everything which we have implemented till now, which I have talked to till now. So let's get to our project ERP. Okay, this is the staff logged in where we have admin here. Okay, this is our staff. This is our admin. Okay, this is our admin panel. Okay, okay. Right. So let me first tell you that here we have no service worker. We can see all our service registered service breaker here. Application service worker. Now what happened? This is that notify me button. Now see what happens. As soon as let me reload once. Okay. So as soon as I click notify me, it gets clicked. It's asking for permission because I didn't grant it the permission till now. So I will simply say allow. I allowed for the notification. Okay. So see here also a push subscription object is created with the endpoint. This is the endpoint. Okay, this is the application server key which is converted into buffer application buffer. Okay, and the parameter true. Okay, and the responses were also success. So what are you thinking? Like the information has been saved in the database, correct? So let me check it in the database. I will be using them. This is the URL only. Uh, Let me log in. Okay, so here it is. Here we have this table, main app. Let me refresh once. Okay, these are the. So for what user it is, we are not getting it now. Let me delete it all and just simply will check one by one. Here we have nothing. So that you will also get an idea. Yes, the data is saving perfectly. Let me refresh it again. Let me first yes. So one thing, like I have deleted all the subscription, but still the service work is activated. Now again, I click notify me, then it will not perform as because it is already a service worker registered. So one thing keep in the mind that always unregister that service worker which is not in the use. If you are want to make the flow again from the beginning, just first unregister the existing service worker, or else it may not work. It will take the previous service worker and you will be see like if you are changing any service worker thing, any code change, you will not get anything. You will be in the dilemma what is happening, like why it is not working. I have everything correct in my code. So always unregistered. It will happen in testing. That's why I am telling you. Okay. So let me reload once and let me subscribe it. Okay. Notify me. See, here I am getting push notification. Let me refresh. Okay, we get our for user ID 3. This is the user. This is the user, which is Kakashi Hatake. It has the user ID 3. We have all the details of it. And this user ID, how you get it is simple. If I didn't tell you, I think I forgot to tell. Simple. I am using logged in user. EC user equals dot user, which will simply tell give you the user that is that is logged in. Okay, so Kakashi is logged in right now, so that user's ID is assigned to this user variable, and then we can simply store it. And here also I am but one thing is doing update or create. So what it actually do like for this user, if they are already like if I someone clicks again notify me, so what will happen? It will take a duplicate entry, and when fetching out that subscription info for the for that user, so there will be two entities which or more entities which will be making the flow stuck, uh, flagging errors. So simply what you will do, if you are again notifying me, clicking the notify me button, simply update the existing details for the same user. That's why I put them in the defaults. Okay, so that's how it will be. Now, okay, let me see like again the it is registered and activated. Here you can also say install wait activated. So it is perfectly fine at the client side. The push API has done its work. provided the details of subscription, and it is stored in the server. Now it comes to the admin side where one need to send the notification. Correct? Where is that admin panel? Here it is the admin panel. Here we have also student. We will also check for student if you want. Like right now I have subscribed for the this staff. So staff ID. So we will testing on this only. Here also is a notify button. That's for when admin is subscribing to the push API. Are you getting it now? So when someone wants to send admin the notification, so admin need to be subscribe to that push API. That's how it is working. Now this is the button send notification. Okay, when I click send notification, okay, this is just a dialog box open from this button. This is the button send notification. From that request that hitting of that push API URL will be happen. How this is implementing code? Let's see. I will simply move to this page admin notify staff where it's HTML code written. Let me check. This is student. This is the okay. This is the notification URLs. Okay, right. So this is the button. Dot send notification. As soon as I click, what is happening here? It is fetching out the user ID. It is from that student ID element and that message element, and we are getting its value user ID message. I have put it in this student.id and also same for the message. Okay, so we are getting also ID and the message value. This is something you can easily understand. Over here we are sending an ethics request. So you can also use that, no problem. And which URL we are hitting? It's a send notification. Okay. What is type post type? Okay. The data what we are sending user ID and the message. Okay. Let's see what this URL is doing. Guess the URL is not py. Is it URL is not py? Here it is. Send notification. Okay. Uh, okay. I am using it student notification. Sorry. Let's move to the staff notification. This is the same here also staff ID message. Sorry for the. So which URL we are hitting here? Send staff notification. Let me see that URL. Send staff notification. Here it is. HOD views dot send push notification to staff. Okay. HOD views. Where are the HOD views? Here are they. So what we are doing here? Okay. This is the send notification to the user. This is the URL. This is the function we are checking. User ID is equal to request.post.get user ID, and then also the message in the same manner. We are taking all those parameters in the user ID and message. If we didn't found the user ID in the request, so we will simply say that the user ID missing. We can't do anything. We can't send notification. So we have to first make a check. Okay, but if there is a user ID, what we have to do? First, we are finding out which student it is there. This is for generally this is nothing related to the push notification. There is something another logic for saving which should say saving notification. Any push notification should be any push notification that's data I am saving in the database. For that purpose I'm using this saving notification in the database for the user. So it is not related to the push notification. You can skip for if you don't want to implement this. Okay, so I am finding out that custom user, which user it is. Just check out that custom user. Right in the previous, it is the student object I am finding out, but I have the direct parent base table dependency. So I am checking out the user from the custom user table because in the subscription table I have mapped it with the custom user table, so that's why. So what I have said, if you remember, backend logic which will trigger a notification. notification. That logic, which is the send notification button. What first fetch the subscription info of that user. Okay, let me fetch that the subscription info. Here I am fetch push subscription object dot get user is equal to user. So for that user which have for which that button has been clicked. Okay, so just simply take that user and gets its info. Not the person who is clicking that button, the person for which the button has been clicked. Okay, uh, listen it again. I am saying not that user which is clicking that button. We have to take that user's ID which we are uh, sorry, for which we are sending the information, sending the push notification. Okay, which we are taking it in user ID only, user underscore ID. Okay, so we will simply find out that user, and that for user ID we are fetching out the subscription information. What is payload? Payload is the information that will be displaying as a notification. The information that you want to send. The message is something which I will be writing in that dialog box. That model. Okay. So simple. And now let's come to this. Send to subscription. This method. See. Okay. Let's come again to the diagram. What I have said to, like, I have to hit that endpoint URL. See, I have to hit which endpoint? The endpoint which is stored in the subscription info for that user. Okay. Also, I have to provide the private key. Okay, and the message and other payload. So all this thing I have to work. So I can simply write that hitting that URL and collecting the response and everything, but it will be a very tedious work. So I simply use an library which you may also use. It's good to use that because there can be errors, there can be much complexity which make it wasting time. You will have no, I may not say wasting time, but it may be something that one should avoid. So I am simply from web push import send user notification. Simple. Oh, sorry, send to subscription. This is something I am not using. I am using this send to subscription. Great. Webpush.utils. Okay, simple pip install Django webpush, and then you can simply webpush.utils import send to subscription. I can tell you the definition. Go to definition. Here's the util file. CA. This is the send to subscription. So what it's taking? It's a subscription. It's payload and TTL. So here we are again calling a function send notification here. Now this subscription data is first is going here subscription data endpoint. It is fetching popping out all that subscription models data for that users. Simple, the same thing which I explained in the diagram. Now it is also taking attribute settings from the setting the webit private key, that private key that we have stored in the at the server side. Okay, I hope you remember. I will show you this settings dot in settings file, that private key. So simple, and then we are simply using these private data and then again web push that data. So that's the same thing we are doing using this library. Okay, so let me come back to that view. Actually, view notification. And here it is. Send push notification to staff. It would be here. It is so simple. Again, I was explaining the student thing. It was this staff one name. Both are the same, no problem in that. Okay, simple. Send to subscription done. Okay. Again, this is notification. This is something in the application saving part. Nothing related to the push notification thing. Simply, it will done and it will just response with the success message. Okay. So now what it will do as soon as this hit the URL push away URL, what it is doing, it will verify and send it to the service worker. And what is service worker will do? It will listen to that push event. Okay, where is the service worker file? Here it is the push event. And now what it is doing? It's simply event dot data dot. Here we are parsing out the data and simply passing it to the server show notification, and will simply are displaying the details which we have sent it in the payload by first parsing it out as the payload in JSON. Now, some things which you want to take care of, less like in which my mind also boggles much, like takes time, did take time. Where's the attributes? Here in many video, there's not a video particular in this. I have read in articles and other things. So here the subscription, this object, this model object is generally passed as a dictionary. So don't take it as a dictionary, just simply pass as a model. So pass it as a model class to that send to subscription. If you put it as a dictionary, then it will show you the error that it is missing some meta attribute. The dict class is missing some meta attribute. So simply pass it as a subscription, and the payload should be passed as in JSON, simple, because we have to stick to the this function parameters structure, this function structure, how it will work, because uh, in this library, as I have also uh, display the library functions, so they are processing it in their own way, so we have to stick that uh, paradigm, like to say, follow that structure. Okay, so simply the payload should be in JSON, the subscription should be passed in model instance only. That's all. Now the backend part is completed. Okay, back to the service worker file where we listening the push event and just popping out the notification, push notification. Great. Let me demo it again. Simply, as we have already subscribed, now I just will say hello to this Kakashi. Hello Kakashi of the Sharingan. Okay, I already tested once. Okay, so simple. I will say send notification and see notification that notification hello Kakashi of the Sharingan and all these details. So simple. This is how the push notification is working. Okay, I hope you get everything here like clear all the flow. I don't think I have anything left out to tell about this. Let me check. Okay, so that settings file, right. So let me display the settings file also. If there is, so as you know, there is a setting file in the where it goes. Here it is, settings of file in the main folder. So here see web push settings, web private public key. So we don't need the public key. We just need the private key. Even in the email, email is just for also just sticking out the sticking with the structure because they are asking for an email. This email I don't think is of any use. Just the ID which you are using for generating those webpack keys, just put that key, put that mail only, and simply the private key we will be using, and the public key is something which we are not using. I just copy paste that keys to the web push settings, so they are there only. We are using this public key at the client side, the service worker file only, in the service worker file to create the subscription. Okay, so okay, I think everything is fine. Let me again make the flow revise. Simply uh, let me do it in the code this time. Okay, where is the base.html? So here in the base.html, I have implemented this. So if from any page, from the admin page, from the student page, from the staff page, simply first what will happen? Any notify me click button is clicked, so it will just run the main function. What will main function do? Main function will do ask for the permissions, for some permission, basically majorly that request notification permission. And once the request notification is granted, then simply it will register the service worker. How it will register service worker? I have put the path of that service worker file. simply the service worker gets registered, and if it gets registered, it will be triggered for that activated event, and this function will be called for. And what this function is doing, it is activating by doing the subscription of that user using two parameters: the public key that is generated at the client side, and the user will give only parameter an agreement for the push notification. And simple a subscription object will be created. A subscription object is created, and we have to save this. And where we are doing all this thing at this URL. Simply we are fetching this URL. So in what is happening in this URL, we are simply saving the push subscription info as an object in the push subscription table. And then we have successfully subscribed the user to the push notification. Now that push API simply passes that information in the database, like here. Okay, now whenever someone click that send notification button, like for the admin side, like for staff, when I say send notification button, then it will simply take that staff's ID, that message which we want to send, and then hit that URL send staff notification. So we will simply check for the URL which view it is calling, and we will simply say send push notification to the staff. We will take the ID message, and then we will simply check all the conditions, that if the user is present or not. Then we will fetch out that user subscription info and the payload. We will uh, put in some specified structure like subscription as in model only, and the payload in the JSON, and will send to subscription method, which will be which is a web push library. In npm also, we use a web push library. So similarly we are using this. Here we are making the push subscription table by own self, uh, uh, by ourselves. Else thing is taken care by the web push library. Okay, so simply as soon as that says send subscription function do it work, it will response it as in success. We will collect this as in success. A push manager, that push event will be push API will simply pass on the data, the payload to the uh, service worker file. It will listen for that push event and will simply notify about by using this function show notification. Simply that's how all the flow is working. I hope you understand. Any doubt, you may comment it. I will see and will rectify it and will tell you. Okay, and if you get anything help from this video, so please subscribe it with my channel, subscribe my channel, like my video, and have any suggestion, please drop it. This is the video, that's why because I'm doing right now Django, I'm learning Django, and want to implement some new features, so that's why I did that. And I didn't found any good resource for implementing push notifications using service work in Django. So that's why I made this video. I hope so. Thank you.